Over the past few days, I've made a couple thousand Flame Elementium. I wouldn't say I've been playing casually, but I definitely haven't been blasting 12 hours a day either. Somewhere in between. And so today, I'm going to go over all the things that I did to make my currency. As usual, I tend to get bored of doing one thing over and over and over again, so there has been quite a bit of variance. And of course, there's also been quite a bit of luck. For example, when I did Path of the Brave, just to see how hard it was, I got a 300 FE drop. And when I did Traveler 8, well, number one, I ended up dying and bricking my entire first Traveler 8 run, which was unfortunate, but then when I came back, I got a Pedigree of the Gods from the quest, which ended up selling for about 700 Flame Elementium. That's 1,000 FE completely from random chance. That's the other thing. If you keep doing random things over and over and over again, as the drop chances add up and multiply, you're going to get something good sooner or later. That's just kind of how these games work. There are a few things you can do to tweak the odds in your favor, and that's what I'm going to go over today. If I end up refining any of these and settling on a fixed strategy and just blasting that over and over, I'll be sure to make an update video, so get subscribed, that way you won't miss it. Maybe leave a like while you're down there. So the first thing I did was a maps per hour strategy. I put in Dark Surge, I put in City of Eterna, just because I happen to have the cards, I put in Flame Sand stuff and Beacon stuff. My goal was to just go through as quickly as possible, kill a few things along the way, and get rank 5 beacon drops from the bosses. This is a pretty darn lucrative strategy when you're rushing in Time Mark 7. And that's how I made a lot of my early money, because I didn't need thousands of Flame Elementium to get started, I just needed a couple hundred to smooth out holes in my gear, and especially cap my resistances. If you want to know more about the kinds of cards that you invest into this, I suggest checking out our Beginner's Guide to Farming over on Maxwell GG, because I pretty much followed the exact strategy laid out in that guide. From there, I rushed through Time Mark 7, and I kept doing that for a while. After doing that for a bit, I reached a point where my character could do Time Mark 8. It still wasn't super comfortable, and I didn't want to blast Time Mark 8. And so then I started alternating between Time Mark 7 and Time Mark 8 content. In Time Mark 7, I could blast through and set things up, and in Time Mark 8, I could reap the greater rewards. The two mechanics that I chose to focus on were Blacksail, specifically with Whisper of Wonder, and Twinightmare because I happen to have a shepherd pet, thus making it significantly more profitable. Now at this point, I'd say my total net worth is about 3,000 Flame Elementium. Keep in mind, prices are always changing. I got about 1,000 from RNG, and I farmed about 2,000 using the more consistent strategies. I have about 500 of that unspent just sitting in my inventory. The remaining 1,500 went into gear, things like my weapon that I elevated to T0, my amulet that I elevated to T0, all that fun stuff that gets super, super expensive and the costs add up before you know it. So here's an example of one of the decks that I was using to farm Blacksail and Twinightmare content. First up, beacon cards. You want normal monsters to drop additional beacons, a chance to upgrade these from rank 4 to rank 5, and then a chance for bosses to drop rank 5. Alternatively, you could go for something like stage attention points, or you could go for something like extra EXP if you need to level up. The 30% chance to complete an additional is actually quite nice, and I was using it for a while. The reason I swapped to this is, at the moment, rank 5 beacons are getting quite expensive, so I felt like it was a little better value. But as prices go back and forth, I'm probably going to swap back to Pity. Next up, we have the Dark Surge cards. You want chance, of course, chance for bosses, and a little bit of extra chance plus corrosion energy. Unfortunately, I haven't fully leveled this up yet. Last core part of a strategy, enable Blacksail, so plain anchor and rare treasure. That way you get the Whispers of Wonder, which I've been using to target legendary hero relics and memories. Lastly, I have 3 Twinightmare cards. One to give a chance and enhance the Sleepwalkers, one to just give a chance, and one to enhance the loot and mean that I can do more stages before I'm likely to enter the Nightmare. Typically when it gets to about a 30% chance to enter Nightmare, that's when I swap to Time Mark 8. But early on when I was doing the strategy, I wasn't doing any of that. Instead of doing Twinightmare, I was actually doing Eterna. So you have the Diligent Eterna, chance for Eterna Kin, you can have the Eterna Obsession, and a chance to duplicate or a chance to upgrade. Possibly both, and you could drop one of the beacon cards as well. That's the strategy I've been using and the deck that I've been using to account for it. The main reason I started doing Blacksail is I needed a hero memory. It was something I couldn't afford at the time, about 700 FE. So I said, you know what, I'll farm for it and maybe I'll get it, or maybe I'll get something else that I can sell. Turns out, yeah, I got quite a few other things that I could sell. Nothing interesting legendary-wise, but a lot of non-legendary hero relics and hero memories, either for my own character or for other characters, that did end up selling for between 30 and 100 Flame Elementium each. And they sold relatively quickly. I was just putting it up on the trade house as the cheapest. On the other hand, in Twinightmare, I targeted Netherrealm bubbles to get more beacons, and I of course targeted currency bubbles, because everyone loves dropping Flame Elementium. These two things accounted for a significant portion of my profits, with a lot of it just being raw Flame Elementium drops, especially once I started doing Time Mark 8. Now, if you don't have Shepherd, or just don't want to deal with a Twinightmare mechanic, you can absolutely sub those cards out for either City of Eterna and sell the Eternum fragments, or alternatively, you can just go with something like Cube or Dark Surge. The main idea here is to absolutely blast through Time Mark 7, killing things along the way for drops. As you do so, feel free to use some of your Netherrealm Resonance to quality it up. It's not like the difficulty will matter in Time Mark 7, but the extra drops do end up adding up over a large number of maps. But as you get close to the advent of Nightmare, or as you get close to an encounter with the Bride of a Void Sea, swap to Time Mark 8, finish the mechanics out there, that way you can take advantage of the greater drops. And if you really want to min-max this, I suggest using two completely separate decks. One for pushing things up in Time Mark 7, that adds a little bit of Dark Surge or additional beacon drops, and one that's about reaping those rewards in Time Mark 8 that's much more focused on the loot they give. Then you just swap between them, whether you're setting up or gathering the rewards. It will definitely increase your profitability. Now, to be honest with you, I haven't kept track of my profit per hour. I was testing a little bit of this the other day on my live stream. You can kind of watch how that played out. Ultimately, that was at the point where my character was not super ready for Time Mark 8. At this point, my character has more than enough DPS because of the gear upgrades I made to blast Time Mark 8 and probably even 8-1, maybe even 8-2. Though I haven't done any deep space stuff yet, and I probably won't for a little bit as I don't think my character's ready for that. But that's just what I've been doing and what I found success with. How about you? What's your most profitable farming strategy for the Whispering Mist season? Let me know down below. Now, if you're looking for something else to watch after this, or maybe you're just curious about the build that I've been playing throughout the video, don't worry, I have a full dedicated guide going over all of my choices, the skills, the gearing, all that stuff. It's very, very season start friendly. The gear was extremely cheap when I played it, though it may have gone up since then. Always do your research and check prices for yourself. But at the very least, it should give you some ideas which you can adapt for your own creations. Link to that will be up in the card and down below. Now, before I go, I'd like to thank XD for sponsoring this video. You can check out the Whispering Mist season. It's now live on Steam, iOS, Android, all the major platforms. You can play Erica Lightning Shadow, a strong shock-based character, or alternatively, explore Mistville and try to find a valuable and rare activation medium. Personally, I haven't found an activation medium yet, but I have been having quite a lot of fun with the Mistville mechanic. It's a little bit of a blend of Darkest Dungeon and roguelike with a flavor of Silent Hill, which makes for a very fun combo, and if it was a standalone indie game on Steam, I would totally buy it and probably play it for 100 hours. But with that said, I'd also like to take a minute to thank my patrons and channel members for the continued support. You can see their names on screen right now, and direct support like this goes a long way to help making videos possible, especially when I don't have a sponsor. So with all that said, thanks to everyone who watched to the end. I hope you learned something. Good luck in your farming, and I'll see you in the next one.